What's good? This is my review for the movie Creed 2. I've been wanting to watch this for a while since the previous came out that it was going to be Drago's son. Rocky 4 is my favorite of the Rockies because how could it not be, man? Maybe it's not the best movie, like the quality of the story, it's very campy, it's silly, but come on. Come on. Rocky single handedly defeats communism in Rocky 4. How could that not be your favorite Rocky movie? How is that not the best Rocky movie? Yeah, the other Rocky movies are great except for 5, but Rocky 4, man. None of the other Rockies match it. This basically Rocky 8, basically Revenge of Drago. Now, Creed, the Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed, fights Victor Drago, the son of Ivan Drago. Now, it takes us back to Russia, where Victor Drago is being trained by his dad, and his dad's very abusive because he's had a really hard life after losing to Rocky. Basically, the whole country disowned him. The whole commission disowned him. He was hated. He was shunned. He was blackballed by everyone in Russia. So he had a rough upbringing. Victor Drago did, and Ivan Drago had a rough past after the Rocky fight. So he resented. He resented the commission. He kind of resented boxing, but he still wanted his son to box. But Ivan believed that he was better than him, that his son was better than him, and that he couldn't lose. But he instilled this fear in his son, making him a machine, kind of like he was. But he said, "I lost. You're gonna win. You're gonna get up." He would do training with him, and he would drive behind him and go a little faster and go a little faster while his son's running. And then he stopped once and he said, "When I tell you to go faster, you go faster." And just a very intense look. You guys know that Ivan Drago. And I wish we got more of that. I wish we got more of Victor Drago's upbringing, a little more of a story. We got a lot of dialogue about it, how he had a rough time after the Rocky. I wish they would have shown a little bit of that. I wish they would have shown the Bridget Nielsen character disowning Ivan and his son. I wish they would have shown that. We didn't get to see that. We got to hear about it, but we didn't actually get to see that. We got to see I was gonna say Adonis Stevenson, who's in the hospital right now. I hope he gets better. I really do. Not my favorite guy, not my favorite boxer, but I really hope he gets better. But Adonis Creed, we got to see him fight Andre Ward again, kind of a rematch from the first one, a reference from the first one where he sparred him and he bet his Mustang and he lost. He fought him for that Mustang again, and okay, I'm gonna spoil this. He won it. He became world champion. I'm sorry, but it happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie, so it's not too much of the spoiler. He becomes world champion after being Andre Ward's character. I forgot his name, and then he fights Drago, the big bad Drago, and this is where the mighty Russian comes in once again and fights and fights Creed. And though Victor is a badass and he is a beast, he just can't compare. He doesn't compare to Ivan Drago. His badassness. Remember when Rocky tried to touch gloves and then he tried to do it really rough, and Drago's gloves just stayed there, and Rocky like whoa, kind of bounced up. Victor didn't have that. Victor, he was intimidating. He was a lot bigger than Adonis Creed, but he didn't have that much of the intimidating factor. And we didn't have the evil Russian storyline. I know the Cold War is over, but man, I love seeing Ivan Drago running on the machine and shooting up roids while Rocky is climbing on the mountains of Russia with a log. There's no easy way out. There's no shortcut home. Man, that's a good movie. And that's probably my biggest complaint, that it just doesn't match Rocky 4. And the Creed, I know it's part of the Rocky franchise, but the Creed franchise in general, it it tries to match the Rocky franchise, but it doesn't have the same feel, and they know it, which they try to mix in hip hop into the montages and all that. But it just doesn't get me pumped. It just doesn't get me pumped as much as the Rocky franchise. And Michael B. Jordan, Adonis, he's a great actor, but his character is very unlikable. And I know he was an orphan as a youth, he had a rough childhood as well, but he's just yelling at people. He was getting his ass kicked at one time in a fight, and his corner's like, "All right, do this," and he's like, I know." And then the corner kept telling him, and he said, "You think I don't know that shit?" He yells at his corner, and the corner goes, "Then why don't you do it? Why don't you apply it? Why are you yelling at your corner like that?" He is very unlikable. And I know he kind of is supposed to be, so he could later redeem himself, but that just irks me. And his name is Creed, and I gotta say, and I can't believe I didn't review the first Creed on my channel. I wish I had. I didn't review Southpaw either, so I'm glad I didn't review that, but I did think Southpaw was awful. And I thought Creed was a very well done movie. Between the two Creed 1 and Creed 2, I'm glad they added that to the Rocky franchise. But Adonis Creed is just no Apollo. I watched Rocky 4 the other day to get pumped up for this one, man. And boy, did it. Boy, did it. But just watching Apollo coming into America with all the people coming in and him dancing, man, Apollo was the man. Apollo was the man. And one thing I didn't remember was that Creed versus Drago, that was that was an exhibition. So this jerk ass, this jerk ass Russian, Ivan Drago, kills a man in an exhibition match. Who does that? Yeah, that established that. Yes, the Russians in this situation, the Russians were assholes. Yes, communists are jerks. Let's get them. Rocky, beat him. Beat him for Apollo. Beat him for America, please. Now, you didn't feel that in Rocky 2. You felt that it was more of a personal thing. And later in the movie, he went away from trying to get revenge from his dad and all that, making it a revenge fight, and just doing it mostly for himself. He even went to Apollo's grave and was like, "Dad, I didn't do this for you. I did it for myself." So I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's kind of cool that he did it for himself, and to he managed to get inspiration from that, just from himself, just from the pep talks that Rocky would give him. But then again, you didn't do it for your dad. I know he was never there, but still, that was kind of the selling point of that movie. But I guess that was kind of the twist. But there was a part in the final fight where it was getting good. It was getting good. I will say that the final fight was the best part of either Creed 1 or Creed 2. And that's why I will say that this was a slightly better movie than the first one. Even though the first one was so good, and I will admit this on video, the first Creed almost made me cry with what happened to Rocky in the first fight, man. Right here, it hit me right here. But the final fight, man, there's a part where it gets good, and then it starts. Dun, 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 dun. Oh man, the Rocky song, and I was like, yes, yes, that's what I want from these. That's what I want from these movies. and I got it. I got what I wanted. It was a little slow at times because I'm not 100% on board with the Adonis Creed character. I don't like him 100%, but he redeems himself. And I kind of don't like his wife in that storyline that she can't hear. But I mean, you have to get into his life, his personal life, a little bit. Yeah, I watch it. Yes, I watch it for the boxing, but I also watch it for the whole movie. I am a fan of movies, but I just didn't think that his life is that he wasn't that interesting of a character, and he's kind of a jerk at times. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, I enjoyed it better than the first one. By the end of the movie, I was like, yes. And this is a very fitting end to the Rocky franchise. So I hope they don't make any more. This should be the end. I am very satisfied. I recommend it to everyone. Watch Creed 2. If you haven't watched Creed 1, go back and watch Creed 1. Then you could go watch Creed 2 because there's a lot of references between the two movies in this one. So watch both the movies. They're worth watching. What is your favorite movie of the Rocky franchise, and what did you think about Creed 2? Thanks for watching. Peace.